Hello everyone, this is Club 10M Plus's exciting new podcast that's here for you. We are all about stories, new developments and learning about individuals. Our hope is that you will join us every week to hear about our distinguished guests. We hope to inspire you, bring you laughter and make you reflect. Our guests come from all walks of life and primarily they want to share their stories. Not sure about you, but I love a good story. So Club 10M Plus have devoted their time to creating these podcasts, to sharing great ideas and stories and much more. So tune in every week to make sure that you don't miss out. It could be you next week. Want to know more? We want to hear your stories. So sign up and be our next guest. Hi, Lisa, and welcome to your pitch to the Panther. Lisa is a very special guest, and I think I'm going to hand over to her so she can explain a little bit about what we were just discussing called your calling. Lisa, over to you.
Thanks, CHRISTA. I actually am going to ask you some questions if you don't mind.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
I want to ask you how, if you ever took that class, what am I supposed to be when I grow up?
Ooh, do you know what? I think I did, but did I pay attention might be another thing. What did I want to be? Or are you asking me, or are you putting
Well,
me on the spot?
I'm playing kind of tongue in cheek because I start there because of my background of I was a headhunter for 25 years and I ask people
Okay.
every day, how did you pick what you're doing? And so many of them, it was sort of by accident. Maybe their dad told them it would pay well, or their mom did it, or they saw an advert on the, whatever and said, oh, that sounds fun. I'll fancy trying that. But then they don't continue to try new things. And that was me. And I think that's most of us, quite frankly. I know I happened to accidentally love what I did, accidentally get in a career that I loved for many, many years. But then I found one morning I woke up and I couldn't remember the last time I learned something new. And for those of you that might be in that cycle of sort of that hamster wheel of life, that's where I was. And I had 19 bosses in 23 years, all with a different agenda about what they wanted me to do. Right. And so I think one thing that I would just like to share is the gift that you can give yourself by continuing to pursue your calling. And I look at life through a faith lens, whether you look at life through, the universe, there's a particular faith or whatever pattern of way you look at life. I hope that you tap into something that's greater than you, and that's where I found my calling. I really will say, and I actually became a business owner sort of again by accident. I never really planned to build a business. However, I knew that I was done with the corporate BS. I was done with it. And for me, it happened to be when my sweet mother got sick. She had a terminal brain tumor, and she was this amazing example of someone that kept learning her whole life. And it really made me pause when she got sick. And when she passed away, and then my best friend passed away 10 months later, it really made me think about my next chapter. It's kind of cliche to say we've all got these stories, this story we're building in our own life. And how many times do you hear, we are the author? But how many times do people really embrace that idea that they truly are the author? It had never occurred to me, CHRISTA, too, that I actually could control my destiny,
Yeah.
even though I do have a faith that thinks there's a greater power and a cause for my life.
I'm gonna kind of pick up on that actually, because yeah, how often do we just go, well, I'm doing this and I've done this, and we don't stop, we don't reflect. And if you're going to ask me, I'm like, yeah, I fell on what I'm doing by accident because
Mhm.
that's what happened. But also, there was a strong desire within me to follow my heart. And
Yeah.
I think that changed it for me. So when you talk about those moments that you just stop and went, what am I doing? I'm on this hamster wheel. What's going to change if I don't? And that I think a lot of us don't appreciate that we're on the hamster wheel. So how do we get off this? How do we even understand that we're on it?
Well, I think first thing I did is I surrounded myself with people that were different thinkers. I heard once we're changed by the books we read and the people we meet. And if the people that we're surrounding ourselves with are the having the same conversations we are, then we get to change rooms. We get to go into another Zoom room or, you know, after COVID, it's all the Zoom rooms, right? So I
Yeah.
think surrounding ourselves with different thinkers too, and and it doesn't cost anything except our time, but that is our most valuable thing. I We could continue, binge watching on Netflix, or we could actually decide to create change by surrounding ourselves with different people. That's what it was for me. That's the biggest thing, is the people that I surrounded myself with. And then, but then also I think there's a pattern I've noticed in this entrepreneurial space that I've suffered from when I first sort of became aware of it just a couple years ago. I really dove in head first. And looking back, I realized there was a period of time that I became sort of almost a professional meeting attender. And I think that can be a danger, because if you don't take what you're learning and then apply it to something and take action on it, then that can almost be its own addiction, right? Of, I'm just going
Yeah,
to keep
yeah.
improving myself and my mindset. Well, you got to do something with that mindset that you're building, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you can continuously be and do. I mean, it's another hamster wheel in itself,
It
isn't
can
it?
be,
Because you're
right?
going from one thing to another and not actually using that information to make
Yeah,
changes. And I learned something really interesting today. Um, Effectively, if you learn something, implement it in 48 hours because you're not going to do it otherwise. So that will
exactly.
be a real learning space takeaway, kind of what? And I said, do we have 48 hours? Because I always go, I'll do it at the weekend, because I have more time. And
Right.
that's kind of where we go.
Well, there
Right.
was
So,
there's a something that I learned the other day about really learning in general, because the secret sauce is really a little bit of lecture, then getting to have some interaction, so that you actually get to see, how is that landing with me, and then really truly get some group discussion going, and then you actually get to train yourself. I mean, that's really the best way to learn something, is when you actually realize you can train on it, right? So,
yeah,
I know we
yeah.
only have a few minutes, but one thing that I did want to mention, that for any listener out there that is interested in living life bigger, I can't stress enough the study of the cash flow quadrant, and the idea that it is not just within you to build abundance in your life, and I'm talking wealth from a monetary standpoint, relationship standpoint, give your ability to give in a greater way. I personally think the fundamentals, it starts with truly understanding financial literacy and understanding that to build abundance in your life, you get to think differently than everybody else, because most people are not building abundance in their life. They're firmly planted in the the hamster wheel. And so we just get to think differently than everybody else, right? And take action differently as a result of it.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot to be said about how our ability to absorb information and actually share it in a wealth abundance lifestyle that I think when you're doing the corporate, you kind of think that's the only way to do it. And I'm gonna say that because obviously I've had that experience as well. When you're there, it's like the next promotion and the next thing. But when you actually sit back and you go, well, what is my life about? What is it that I'm going to do really differently for myself? That's when you work on the actually there must be another way of doing this. And you're absolutely right with a wealth abundance is not just money. It is your health. It is your happiness. It's the people that are around you. I am so blessed because I keep saying this. I'm so blessed. I've got the most amazing people that I surround myself with. And that is kind of it feeds you. And
Yeah.
when it feeds you, you're doing the right thing. So, a quick takeaway as we don't have long. What can you tell us? A big nugget for today.
Well, I just would say I heard this phrase once that really struck me, which was dream dreams so big that when you accomplish them, only God can get the credit. And whatever, God you call, I just pray that you have a faith that you tap into that has a really good plan for your life, and the pursuit of that plan is very, very joyful and fulfilling.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time today, Lisa. It's been a
Absolutely.
pleasure.
Thanks, Krista.
Hello, everyone. This is Club 10M Plus's exciting new podcast that's here for you. We are all about stories, new developments, and learning about individuals. Our hope is that you will join us every week to hear about our distinguished guests. We hope to inspire you, bring you laughter, and make you reflect. Our guests come from all walks of life, and primarily they want to share their stories. Not sure about you, but I love a good story. So Club 10M Plus have devoted their time to creating these podcasts, to sharing great ideas and stories, and much more. So tune in every week to make sure that you don't miss out. It could be you next week. Want to know more? We want to hear your stories, so sign up and be our next guest.